what is Greenland? Greenland is a new solution that was made at Total Materia in this past year, trying to tackle the compliance and sustainability subject. And the reason why we created Greenland were because we've been seeing a lot of different challenges that our current users have. A lot of different companies have been adding different sustainability goals, and we thought it was time to create something that will help our users to tackle compliance in case you're building products in different countries, to make sure all those regulations are monitored and the materials that you're choosing are compliant depending on those regulations, as well as in the country that you're selling and producing your product, but as well as sustainability, because as you all know, since you're engineers at different engineering companies around the world, a lot of different companies are getting certain sustainability goals that they have to adhere to in either 2030, 2040, and we want you to be ready for those. So the different challenges that we've been seeing with our customers are the following: having to build compliance into daily product design. This hasn't really been the case in, not that compliance isn't a very important subject, but 30, 40 years ago, making sure that you're not using materials that have substances of very high concern, for example, was not in the material decision-making process. But now we're trying to build in that compliance from the very start. Supporting compliance to control different corporation sign-ups as well. Reacting instantly to changes in quality, different supply chain issues by finding immediate substitutions. So since we have access to Total Materia, over 700,000 material designations to choose from, you're able to quickly see, if this material, this commercial grade, or this material coming from a producer is not compliant to certain regulation that I have to make sure that the material is compliant to, I could quickly find immediate substitutions. It could even not just be a regulatory issue, it could be a quality or a supply chain issue. Of course, having to stay up to date with constantly evolving global regulations could be very tiresome. So we're going to do that for you. We update our database on a monthly level, and you'll always have the most up-to-date information in terms of all the different regulatory statuses. We have a team for engineers that just do that internally. Of course, identifying those different roadblocks and opportunities at the start of your product journey will just make a lot more sense in the long run. And of course, creating those traceable reports around different compliance decisions in all business areas could help with when you're choosing new materials or when you're designing a product globally. So that's why we created Greenland. Firstly, we really wanted to tackle the compliance issue. We want to make sure that we're tracking all the different regulations, verifying different materials against different regulations as well. You could do them even simultaneously at the same time. You could compare those different materials and find substitutions. So we realized a BOM Assessor, a BOM Bill of Materials Assessment tool, could really help engineers add in all those different parts and be able to quickly see if all the materials in your bill of materials are compliant to specific regulations. Luckily, we wanted to add in a sustainability component as well, and we also have a Lifecycle Assessment. So after you're done checking, okay, are all materials compliant to certain regulations? Perfect. Now I'm going to go make sure that this is the greenest material I could choose. And as you know better than me, sometimes the greenest material might not be the best material in terms of design or something like that. So it just really depends on what your goals are as a company, and to always make sure that that you're using the greenest materials when appropriate and when available. So before we go into our bill of materials tool as well as lifecycle assessment. As you know, based on if you perhaps use bill of material beforehand, we do have a tool now that's a little bit more enhanced and just gives you a better visualization of which materials are compliant or not to certain regulations. We've enhanced that, and now we have another section within Greenland that helps you quickly check all those different statuses. We cover, as you see, in terms of substances, over about 50 global regulations. On the materials level, 300, REACH, RoHS, biocompatibility, conflict minerals, critical raw materials. So we try to cover all those different things, and it helps you monitor your chosen materials. Have any changes been associated with the compliance regulation? Updated substance data, identifying all those different materials. You're able to do all of that in Greenland. So it's a really great enhanced tool. If anyone has ever used our compliance data set and module in Total Materia, this is just a better enhanced version that really helps you quickly find all those non-compliant materials. But really, why we came here today is going through our BOM materials tool and lifecycle assessment. Of course, I'm not going to go through the definition of a bill of materials, but essentially how I see it is where you can quickly see if the product you're making, let's say this bicycle, of course it's a lot more complicated than just having a frame, a fork, and all the rest of it, is to quickly see which components are non-compliant, so you don't have to go through perhaps the whole process right again. You can do quick substitutions within our tool, or just even be able to identify those pain points in compliance regulation. And of course, as you all know, conducting those bill of materials assessments just could help you save costs, optimize your product profitability, manage and mitigate supply chain risk, and of course, not be fined if the materials that you're using are non-compliant. But you already know all those different takeaways. I'm not going to go into detail with that or bore you with those details. I think it's better if I just show you how our BOM assessment tool works in Greenland. So it is fairly simple to use. All you need to do is insert or download a template to quickly add in those materials that you want to assess. So this is just a template that we have that you can download. You could see all the different material designations here and the standards. You could even create it the way you want to as well. You don't have to do it the way we do it. You open up that BOM assessment. You could also have substances here as well. So you don't always just have to add in the full material. Only certain tabs need to be created. And then you get your bill of materials. You always get a warning sign here. You could see for this specific material, there are multiple standards associated with it, so you have to pick which one is the right fit. So you always get those errors before you go into checking if it's compliant or not. Make sure there are no more warnings, no more errors, and then you go to the assessment. You pick which regulation you want to cross-reference through, and we have REACH here, RoHS, and California Proposition 65. So we see at certain points that some materials are not compliant. You could even check out the general exceptions for RoHS. You could apply those, and you could see for the RoHS it's been exempted, but we still have non-compliance for REACH and for California Proposition 65 due to this specific material, the specific part, the way we called it. We could also export the data so you could quickly find or visualize it in a better way. So it's this 102 material that we chose the standard for. And if you want to modify the BOM, you go to that specific material here, and through Total Materia, you could always try to find different materials or you could even add in an internal material that you may be using. I'm going to switch it to that DIN material, be on my way, and go to the assessment. And from here, you could see that we have all the different regulations good to go, and that everything is compliant. So that's really great. Essentially, the whole point of BOM assessment is to quickly check out, okay, which of those materials are non-compliant. Great, you did a check, you save your BOM, and you'll be able to share that, re-download that if you want to look back to it later on. That's really it for our bill of material. And being able to, of course, find those equivalents and put them straight away into your assessment rather than having to put them all in the same Excel again to review that. So then, of course, once you have everything compliant in your bill of materials, we have our Lifecycle Assessment. We cover over, as you see, 400,000 materials, and we get all our information from a consortium that I'll go over in the next slide. But essentially, our scope is we cover from cradle to gate. So really kind of helping choose the greenest material depending on different indicators, different endpoints, and making sure that you have all that information available, really. And you could do it for both metals and polymers, which is great. So you can quickly see, if I can either use a metal or polymer. I know that's very broad for everyone on this call, but it really just gives you the information to see what materials are out there, and it helps you save all that information, filter through it, report on it, and export the results, just like we did under bill of materials. And the consortium where we get all this information from is called EcoInvent. They provide so much information, and we're in partnership with them. So that's really great. And then since they have all the life cycle analysis data, and we have those over 700,000 commercial grade materials, this tool really works great with having that EcoInvent information, just so you could quickly find all those different indicators and information. And it works pretty simply. So I'm going to add a list into Lifecycle Analysis, a list of stainless steel materials, and I want to check out which one is the greenest. So I add that into my Lifecycle Assessment, and then from here I could choose all the different midpoint indicators, different methods if you want to pre-select something, depending on what your indicators are. So now I'm just explaining here all of that. I think everyone gets it. You could play around, of course, with the indicators as well. So let me just move on. So after adding in all those indicators, climate change, fresh water, and all the rest of it, toxicity, you get all these different numbers here. You could also change the condition and the standard right through that. So that's where I help to have that information on over 700,000 material designations. You could pin the material to do quick benchmarkings to see, okay, compared to 304, how do these other materials behave? Are they better? Are they greener? Which one's the best? We could see 430 is the best one. You could save this assessment, 304 benchmarking. You could export that information. So then let's say you're a compliance engineer, you find out that, okay, out of these list of materials that your materials engineer has sent over, 430 is by far, let's say, the best one. The number's better than I do. I just see it by the green symbol, and for me, that's greener than 304. But sometimes those green alternatives aren't the best engineering possibilities out there. So it's really up to your team to get all that information, get it clear, and see what is the best material to choose. And all of that is available in Greenline. Who can it help? From compliance experts to design engineers, Greenline really just tries to provide enough information to make sure the materials that you're choosing before it's too late are compliant and are the most sustainable materials out there. Of course, for compliance experts, this solution works great because you have to quickly check, okay, does it make sense? Does it match our corporate compliance? And to make sure, as I say, or as it said on the slideshow, to make sure the jigsaw fits together. Corporate compliance, of course, ultimate accountability for ensuring all those internal decisions, the suppliers that you're using are completely compliant to the different countries you're selling your products in. Not having to be fined later on is always great. Materials engineers play a big part in this as well, because they're very important in the whole process, because they're actually choosing the materials for different products and for different work. But it's always great to have that compliance information beforehand, so sooner rather than later. Imagine you're working on a new product. It's taking years to really get all that product going, and realize it's not compliant at the very end or in the middle of it. Having that option to just quickly do a BOM assessment, but not being head of compliance or a compliance expert, just gives you that information on, okay, so where I'm going with my design choice is good to go. And of course, design engineers, they need to consider different constraints at the start of their simulations and the product design and the different manufacturing activities. Same with material engineers. It's really great to know all this information before you get ahead with any of those projects. So if you're any of these different characters, we could definitely help you out with Greenline.